Welcome my friends, and thank you for clicking on this video, where I've put together another comprehensive game review. And today we will leave the rat race behind, take a journey into the wilderness, and so, for your viewing pleasure, I present to you and if any time you like my style, please do consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. Now let me start off by saying I purchased this game for no other reason than I simply liked the look of it. It is visually quite stunning. And further to that, regardless of anything else I say, is this not super cute? Now don't forget to check out the YouTube timeline, which I've sectioned to make it easier for you. Among Trees is an indie adventure simulation game, I guess you'd call it, released into Steam in November 2021 by FJRD Interactive, a development studio that describes itself as a micro game studio, so I guess it's pretty small. As of January 2022, you could pick this game up for about US $13, and at the time of doing this review, I played it for about 13 hours and unlocked most of the Steam achievements, and I'd say that I've completed 90% of the game. The structure of this review will be what the devs have said about the game, what some other reviews have said, how the game plays out generally. Then we will look at 4 of the cornerstones of what they've described this game as offering, that is exploration, building, growing food, I guess that is, and stay safe, which I suppose means survive or survival. Then I will touch on crafting and animals / wildlife, and lastly I will give you my overall opinion, remembering it is no more than my opinion. But let's start with what the devs have said about the game. The Steam description of the game is: escape to an enchanting living sandbox surrounded by wildlife and nature. Scavenge materials and craft tools to turn your small cabin into a warm, well-supplied home. Survive by fishing, cooking and growing your own food. Be careful though, the forest is as dangerous as it is wonderful. And on the developer's games webpage, it also says, have you ever wanted to escape to the woods and build a life for yourself in the heart of a lush forest where your day-to-day focus would be growing your own food, crafting tools, exploring the surroundings and making your cabin extra cozy? Then this is the game for you. So as you can see, they paint a picture here of a player escaping to an enchanting world, escape the rat race and cozy up to nature. But we will see if the game achieves that shortly. Steam user reviews have mostly rated the game as mostly positive, and on the Steam page the devs have highlighted I should say, several reviews from well-known gaming institutions which say, so beautiful that it makes you forget the constant dangers. Among Trees manages to present a serene slice of nature that most people probably wouldn't mind losing themselves in. If you're down for a laid-back forest hiking game and you enjoy charting your own course just for the heck of it, give it a chance. So most people seem to rate this game pretty highly, but is it all magical bliss or are there some things to be wary of? The game mechanic here is simple really, with no real explanation apart from a few words. You start the game in a forest, where close by is a ramshackle hut. You start to collect resources and then rebuild this decrepit hut into a usable small cabin. Here you can sleep and extend the cabin over time, collecting various resources to add these extensions to it. You may, for example, increase your storage capacity or build extensions where you can cook or craft items, do some sewing, grow your own food, brew up various booster drinks or potions I guess. But to achieve these extensions you will need various resources, some pretty common, others not so much. This of course leads you to search and explore the map for these various resources. The game is 90% about foraging. finding various plants and other resources scattered around, and you will be led wider and wider in search of these. And as you search, you will uncover things like abandoned mines, abandoned oil rigs, and similar things where critical resources can be obtained. This wider exploration is a crucial game mechanic because you will realize that you simply cannot wander into the distance, as you just cannot survive the night. It just gets too cold and your health will literally plummet down, likely causing you to die before you can get back to the warmth of your cabin. You will then realize that to explore wider you will need potions, food, water and shelter, meaning you will have to camp a night or two out in the wild. Oh, the horror of it. Wildlife is generally tame, but a few areas on the map are patrolled by bears, and these will savage you if you get too close. Quick tip, sleeping does not save the game. You have to manually save, so click that save book which sits beside your front door every time you come or go. Now let's look at what the devs have said of the 4 cornerstones of the game. As I have just been talking about, you will spend a lot of your time exploring the map, and you will for the most part find it an absolute pleasure to do this, as the visuals are stunning. I've not played many games that have reached this level of clarity of visual design. It is truly medal deserving. The vibrant colours, the blending of these, the design of the trees, it all made me feel like I was exploring like the interior of some pastel painting landscape. Quite beautiful. Having said all that, the variety of the terrain you will come across is limited, which is a shame, as after a while, even when it is beautiful, you will end up sprinting through it to get quickly to that unexplored part of the map. After all, how many times have you gone somewhere in real life and seen some amazing view, stopped and looked at it for 10 minutes, then you've had enough? Amongst trees suffers from that. Our brains always need something more than just something pretty to look at. They require stimulation, and in games this is often found through change or danger. The map itself is simply not large enough. It did not take me long to realize this. Then to explore it all, I started to approach it in an almost mathematical grid-like approach. It is spectacular in its visuals, but as a whole package it is not engaging enough for me to want to see what is over the next hill. I never thought over there is going to be something unexpected. I just knew it would be more of the same beautiful thing that I was looking at right now. You will spend 90% of your game exploring, and after about 8 to 10 hours it can start to taste a little stale. Because after all, even if you ate donuts 10 times a day, eventually you will even tire of that sweet treat. When I saw this as a cornerstone of the game on their Steam page, I was somewhat surprised. Yes, you absolutely are required to expand your cabin to technically build these extensions, but it really did not feel like building. It didn't feel like that at all. Why? Well, you are only ever building extensions to your home. You're just gathering resources, then you click build, and in an instant it all happens. There is no real traditional building dynamic, no blueprints, no choice, no personal flair or touches. The building is little more than a sequence of steps that you progress through. It is laid out before you and you have no choice. It is predetermined and it is lacking. When you build the greenhouse, you will then have the choice to plant seeds and grow them into vegetables, which you can then use to cook with or make brews. The greenhouse itself is somewhat, not surprisingly, stunning to look at. And when I went outside to just spend a moment to look at it, I was not disappointed. It just looks beautiful. The way the light moves through the glass, the whole thing just looks brilliant. The actual mechanic of growing your crops is very simple, but very well done. In fact, the watering requirement and the way it is implemented is one of the better ones I've seen. Simple, but well done. However, in this factor of the game, the options are limited. There is no real depth. It's a little bit lacking again. Now the Steam page says, just stay safe, and this is probably in reference to the bears that you will sometimes see. They are the only hostile animal that you will come across, and they patrol certain high loot spots. You can sneak close to them, but it is a dangerous game to play, and when they aggro on you, it is pretty hard to get away. And if you do, by the way, you will unlock a Steam achievement for doing that. The bears themselves, well, let's be honest here, they are the best looking and moving bears that I've seen in any game, period. AI wise, they are okay, but there is only a few spots where they are and they don't wander, so staying alive on the map is pretty straightforward as long as you don't blindly run into one of these spots. And you do get a warning icon when close. Cold, the weather is far more likely to kill you than anything else here. Now, let me cover two more things. Each building extension you build allows you to craft various things like a bigger backpack, new clothing, tents, fireplaces and various other things. A number of these things can also be unlocked by finding blueprints which are scattered around on the map, and again that forces you to explore. The actual crafting generally requires you to forage for items and sometimes to combine those items to make some other item. It is well done, the UI is clever, it is good, nice to look at, but it is way too shallow. For me, it needed about double the amount of items to be crafted to make it a little interesting. It did not take me long to unlock everything. I was left wanting more. Even with the spawning for wildlife turned up to the max, the forest feels a little empty. The rabbits are cute, the bears brilliant, the occasional deer almost mystical, and your little pet fox is super cute and a nice companion, but much more is required here to flesh out the forest. Amongst Trees is visually stunning and will provide you a tranquil experience unlike any game you've likely to have played. For a moment there I felt transported to this mysterious forest, and for that alone it is worth the small amount of dollars to play it. However, it is clearly an indie game as it does lack content. Beyond 10 to 15 hours of gameplay it starts to falter as it does not have anything more to offer to keep you engaged. Was I glad I purchased it? Absolutely. For a small development team it is verging on a work of genius with a compelling visual style carried across the wilderness, into your cabin and even the UI. This is complemented by a soundtrack that could have come straight from a yogi meditation album, and this adds to the already excellent ambience. But it does lack some things. It lacks danger, it lacks depth, it lacks a build system which has any personality. But all that said, this is a great game. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you in the next chapter.